Hello, everyone. Welcome to FinanceOlogy 101. Class is now in session. The information provided during this podcast is just that information. You will need to do further research to address your specific situation. Enjoy the session. Welcome, everyone, to another session of Gifted Generations Presents FinanceOlogy 101. I'm one of your hosts, Robin Seegers.
And I'm your other host, Elroy Seegers.
And this session, we'll be talking about that tax refund. Do you have a plan for it? We have our financial guru, Tina Smith. She is the president of the Financial T Coaching and Consulting Firm. She's a financial coach. She's a financial mentor. She's certified in all 50 states and overseas. She's an investment broker. She's worked with professional athletes and all of that. She is an author.
And,
Her book is
and a-
titled
and a
It's
mother.
Your Turn. Walk in your financial purpose. Yes, she's a mom and a wife.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. The important things, I'm like, she's a mom.
It's
she's
like,
a mom.
ooh,
She's a mom.
she wear many hats, y'all.
And all that. She's a mother and a wife.
Welcome, Tina. Happy New Year.
And I'm just so excited to be with you guys, of course. Yeah, and you can also add let's see, contract with HUD.
Are you? Wow.
I
Okay.
teach the retirement classes, and so we had one today, and carry on tomorrow. We have one next month. I mean, we're rocking and rolling over here.
Wow.
Wow,
That's awesome.
congratulations. You are moving forward big time.
So she probably sleep between 2 and 4 a.m. every morning.
I know, right?
She gets 2 hours of sleep.
I wish that were true.
Oh, she get less than that then.
I need proper rest. Look, I'm about to be 48. I need to get all the proper rest I can.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah, instead of her counting sheep, she counting dollar signs. It's
That's the truth.
All right.
So let's get to this. Let's tell people what they need to do with that tax refund. So let's say a client come to you and you know that they're getting a tax refund. What would your advice be?
Well, thank you again, as always, for having me, guys. You always are so gracious in having me come and just share my little bits of knowledge that I have with your listeners. So thanks again, as always, being a very hospitable team.
Well, thank you.
So this is our time for us to be concerned with preparing our taxes. What the first thing that I do is, before I even get into the fact that they have a refund, sometimes I like to find out why they have a refund at all.
Mm.
What I find is that we as a community, especially, we overpay the government in tax dollars because we have not completed our W-4 with our employer properly. What I find that we do is we'll pay more in taxes and get less throughout the year. And we'll do the electric slide when we get, thousands of dollars in tax returns.
Hey.
What I find though is that could have been, two, three, four, $5,000 instead of waiting to get it back, from the government the following year. Maybe a few grand that you could have used last year.
Wow.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe these are maybe this is $1, $2, $3, $400 a year. I mean a month that could have been used in your budget.
Right.
So I don't get excited when I find that folks have tax returns. That doesn't excite me at all.
Mm-hmm.
To find out why there's a tax return in the first place. If there is a tax return and it's proper and due, that excites me.
Right.
Not under normal circumstances, do you have folks to get a tax return? Now, if you have children, of course you can expect a tax return, especially multiple children. If you have a business, and have taken some losses over the year,
Right.
based on the expenses you have, you can expect a tax return for that, which I would highly recommend starting your business. That really helps with tax returns.
Right.
And I would also expect tax returns for homeowners, especially if you own multiple homes. I expect tax returns for those kinds of folks. If
Okay.
you fall into that category, you having a tax return probably isn't the best thing for you, because these are dollars you could have used throughout the year, to where maybe that could have helped with some debt. Maybe you could have lined your pocket in savings and things of that nature.
Right.
So in a case where, so I said all that to say, Robin, to answer your question finally. I said all that to say, when there is a situation to where the tax return is just and due, what I like to do is start asking some questions about their savings. It's important to me that individuals that expect a large tax return have a level of savings to where, um, I don't want them to necessarily depend upon their tax return to pay bills and stuff like that, although in some cases that happens.
Right.
So I do want to know a little bit about their savings, if they have any. And if they don't, I recommend starting, a savings with, say, maybe half of the tax return. I don't care how much it is. Maybe half of it will allow you, a level to start some savings.
Right.
Then I also start asking about what their debt is like. And, if we're able to use some of those tax returns to eliminate or significantly reduce some debt, then I would recommend, considering that too. So those
Okay.
are the two places that I start when
Mm.
I talk about, what to do with your tax return.
Okay.
Okay. So let's jump back, go back to the W4.
Hmm.
I In my mind, I'm thinking a lot of people fill that out to get money back because they're afraid if they don't fill it out right, they're gonna
They're gonna
owe.
owe. Mm.
Hmm.
So what is the best way to fill that out to sort of
Yeah.
balance
How
it
you how
out?
you figure it out to get
Yeah.
to maximize your money throughout the year versus getting that tax return at the end of the year.
Right.
Is there,
So,
is there a
yeah.
good formula to use?
Well, the thing about that is, unfortunately, you're going to have to make a mistake in order to learn from said mistake,
Mm, okay.
because it's not the form like it used. It's not the form of old,
Okay.
where you would say, okay, I got this many dependents that I'm claiming, so I'm single. I don't know, four dependents. It's not that kind of form anymore.
Right.
Now it's like an estimator. So when you go on to irs.gov and it gives you an opportunity to complete a W-4, you're not really completing it. It's asking you some questions, and it's going to estimate what you can expect.
Oh,
So with that, you don't know if that's going to do the trick or not. And then going forward, you'll be able to say, okay, well, that didn't work. Now we have to try something else.
So from
Uh,
year to year, make adjustments. What you saying?
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. So though I don't like, anyone necessarily overpaying just to get a refund the next year, just to get their money back. The unfortunate thing is you might have to go through that in order to even see, what that looks like. So my recommendation is to kind of follow the steps on what it's saying. And then at the end of it, it's going to give you like an indicator on what you can expect, on how much you should quote unquote pay, so that you don't have to worry about
mm,
taxes. But then it also gives you an opportunity to kind of move the bar a little bit to the left or the right. And so you're just going to have to see, unfortunately, what that looks like. And then, when you say, oh, okay, well, that didn't work, or hey, that did work, then you can gauge it for the next tax season. So
oh,
you may just have to go through a trial and error for the first year in order to really see, how to master that. Now, for those who owe taxes on a
Mm.
regular basis, my recommendation is to consider what you owed this year and just assume that that's what you're going to owe next year. At least that's a starting point. And if you owe more in taxes, it won't be, well, assuming all things stay the same, you shouldn't expect too many changes in that. But if, things don't stay the same, then, that's, you're going to have to consider that too. So unfortunately, it might be trial and error.
Can you, if you know you, let's say you owe them $1,200 at the end of the year, there's no way you can say, I knew I owed them $1,200 last year and the year before. Can you do something on the form where you can say, take out this? Is that with your company? You say, take out an extra $100 out of my paycheck so that I know I have to pay them at the end of the year. Is that something that you can do along the way throughout the course of the year to avoid that payment at the end of the year?
Absolutely. So when you look at your pay stub or your pay statement, it'll tell you, how much federal withholding is going on, for that pay period. There is a system. I'm sure you may have to go through your human resources if you're employed,
Okay.
and I'll talk about business owners in a second. But if you're employed, you may have to go through your human resources section and ask that be adjusted. Now, it's either A, you can adjust it, or B, you can have a dollar amount be sent directly. So,
Mm.
say if, to your point, hey, I want an extra $100 a month or $50 per pay period. Just depends upon how often you get paid.
Right.
You can have a flat. Here's what excuse me, you can have a flat, here's what I want to be sent to the IRS, just so I don't have to worry about this again. Or you can always get online to the irs.gov, and then you could pay that way. There's an opportunity for you to make payments throughout the year on your irs.gov account. So you can register. It's free to do, it doesn't take very long, but you can register for an account. And this is helpful, when you're buying your home and you have to, pull up tax returns and things of that nature. Your account at least will allow you to pull those documents up, versus you necessarily having to go, and make copies of your tax returns all the time. So you can, find transcripts of your previous tax returns and be able to see those kinds of things anyway with an account. But then you're also able to make payments to your tax quote unquote account, so that when tax time comes, it at least um, accounts for the payments that you've already made throughout the year.
Right.
And
Okay.
sometimes that's helpful, if you don't want to make a large payment at tax time.
So what about business owners? How can they make adjustments in that in that form?
With business owners, that's not part of the deal.
Right.
So that is for W-4. That's when you're an employee, or
Right.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, when you're an employee rather. So that's when the W-4 comes into play.
Right.
When you're a business owner, you could take what it is that you owed last year. Well,
Mhm.
let's say you are filing your taxes now,
Mhm.
and then you find out that you owe $2,000, this year for last year's taxes. I hope that
Okay.
made sense.
Yes, it did.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So what business owners can do is say, okay, I know I owe this for 2022 taxes. I'm going to make quarterly payments in 2023 to offset anything that I would necessarily have to pay. So
Okay.
you can make those quarterly payments on that same website that I alluded to earlier. You can absolutely do that. So that's how business owners would be able to handle that.
Okay.
Okay, so that clears things up because I mean that whole system is totally different. I didn't even realize that you could actually have an account. I'm gonna go look that. Just go
Yeah.
to rs.gov.
Yes,
Okay,
there is an opportunity for you to go to irs.gov. And I'm not in front of my computer right now, so I apologize. But you
Nice.
can go to irs.gov, and there should be an opportunity for you to sign in or register.
okay,
And if, with that being said, you're able to do that and not have to worry about, you know, um, you know, a lump sum of tax next year if you're, call yourself basically prepaying,
okay,
if that makes
okay.
sense. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It
So
Wow.
does.
yeah, the government loves when you prepay.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. They want that money.
they want their
Yeah.
money, and they want it now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I see what you're saying about getting your money now because if the government has the money, and let's say you was having a savings account or a CD or something, you're making $0 in that money.
Zero.
But if you have it throughout the course of the year, you're able to utilize it and put into something that you can actually make money and earnings off that money. versus
That's
just
exactly right.
why
You
I
know,
got $2,000, but that $2,000 could have been maybe $2,400 if you put it in something that can earn money on it throughout the course of the year, and you can utilize it
absolutely.
for different things too.
Absolutely. And what I found, especially within our own community, what I found is tax season is an opportunity to get caught up on bills, to pay off debt.
Right.
That's what I, have seen, not only, with friends, growing, becoming, my own adult, handling finances, but even in my profession, that's what I've seen. So it's
Okay.
been, an opportunity to catch up on stuff. And I'm like, well, if we did this right from the beginning, we wouldn't have to catch up because we was clocking that money throughout the year. So we
Mm.
didn't have to worry about the government, quote unquote, paying us back because we had our own, we paid ourselves.
Right.
And they basically holding us hostage because you can't do anything until they actually process your return and get it all out and send the check out and all that stuff. It takes a while. So if
100%.
yeah, so we're stuck with, yeah, we gonna get money back, but we get it back when they give it back.
When they give it back. And to Elroy's point, uh, it's a matter of us being in more control of our dollars,
Hmm.
where we can, use that money theoretically for other things that would grant us some interest. What we've done theoretically was given the IRS an interest-free loan of our money,
Hmm.
and then then got it back when they were ready to give it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know how, if you let Pookie and Ray Ray borrow some money,
Pookie.
normally, when you expect your $1,000, you expect it back. And
Right.
normally we don't think about the interest that it took for Pookie and
Hmm.
Ray Ray to pay us back. We were like, dude, I just want my $1,000. We
Yeah.
didn't think about, well, that $1,000 have actually changed over the course of this year. I was waiting on it.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
it's $1,000 doesn't feel like $1,000 anymore because everything has gone up.
Right.
Right.
So we're
Right.
not really paying attention. When Pookie and Ray Ray owes us this money, we just want our grand back. Well,
Right.
had we were we able, and I'm using Pookie and Ray Ray, being funny because that's the government at this point. There's our Pookie and Ray Ray, because what we could have been doing was, taking that money and, to Elroy's point again, just being able to use that in something that provides us interest, because Pookie and Ray Ray ain't gonna pay us back in interest.
Mm.
They
And
won't either.
that
Might not even get
thousand
my money back.
yeah, and that $1,000 in 2022 is not the same $1,000 in 2023.
That is correct, because yesterday's price is not today's price
Hmm.
Yep.
on
Hmm.
Exactly.
literally on anything.
Right.
So it is absolutely, important for us to consider. Yes. So, we gotta, look at the end game here. We can't just um, look at it like, okay, well, I'm about to get my tax refund. No, let's look at it um, from a futuristic standpoint. Well, why do I have to wait? Why do I overpay in the first place to get a
Right.
refund when I could be using this money throughout the year? So again, getting a tax refund does not excite me, unless there are some conditions that are there, like home
Right.
ownership and children, things of that nature. Then that could be exciting because that's what you're owed, because you didn't, or maybe you didn't overpay. It's just the credits that are provided to you,
Right.
if that makes
Right.
Right.
sense.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
that makes a lot
Wow.
of sense.
So
Makes a
the
lot of sense.
name of the game is not to pay too much so that you can enjoy it then now, not
Yes,
to give the government too much.
that is correct. That is the name of the game, is to not give them an interest-free loan.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
they're going to, because guess what? I mean, look at what's going on right now. You know how much money that is being given to, I'm not trying to get into politics, but I mean, it's just truth. You know how much money is being given to other countries at this point?
Yeah.
You talking our language? Me and Rob talk about it
Whose
all.
money is this?
Yeah.
Our money.
Yeah. Our
That
money.
money,
Yeah.
our tax
Say,
Listen,
yeah, yeah, give my taxes.
because
I mean,
I gave you, because look, I fronted you. I'm saying Pookie and Ray Ray, the government,
right.
but I fronted you this, right?
Right.
So
That's right.
I'm not interested in really in fronting, this
Yeah.
money. So we have to really be mindful and be forward thinking, literally forward thinking, and
Right.
saying, well, hold on, what could I have done with this set of money during the year versus giving it to the government, you know, almost like, hey, would you hold this for me? No, I don't want you to hold any of my money. I want to be able to use my dollars. Thank you.
Yeah. And the good thing about that, for people like you, once they come to you, if they come to you, they should come to you with
Correct.
this the first time. Let's say the first time visitor, and you say, you know what, this is great, but how about we make some changes so
Yes.
you can do something throughout the course of the year? Because you're going to help somebody reset their mind, change their mind, and their focus on how to utilize that money, and show them you're going to make more. But if you used to living on, let's say, the tax, and you change the taxes, they go from, let's say, $1,000 a month, and they go to now, $1,000 a paycheck. Now they got $1,200 a paycheck. You said, no problem. Continue to live up that 1,000. Give me 200. Let me invest it for you because you're used to it anyway.
Hmm.
They give you that 200, and you could do something with it that's wise for them to help them grow that money every single month. I mean, no sense saying I'm gonna take $200 and blow it. Just take that
Right.
same $200 that you're not used to having anyway. Give it to somebody like Tina, and she can show you how to utilize that money to grow your financial future for something down the road. And
Absolutely.
a year from now, you're like, you mean tell me that money is this now? I have this in my account or these things in stocks and bonds. That's where the growth comes from. Is that
True
Yeah.
story. And what I find though, Elroy, is that I call it whipping a U in a cruise ship. You've
Mhm.
never seen a cruise ship whip a U turn.
Mm-mm.
You've seen a Ford Focus whip one, but
Mhm.
not a cruise ship.
actually
And
that's
if you've ever been on a cruise ship, it's like a 5 point turn, I feel. It's
Yeah.
just
yes,
like,
yes,
you're like, okay, hold on. You're like, it's like going 3 degrees, at a time, right? It takes a
oh,
while,
slow.
uh, you know, for that cruise ship to turn around. It's the
Yeah, man.
same way with mindset. If you're used to, I had, case in point. This is a true story. I was meeting with a new client, and we were talking about this exact same subject, and we were talking about tax planning. And I think that's the difference between what some of us do and what wealthy people do.
Right.
Wealthy people plan for taxes.
Mm,
They do tax planning.
come on.
Hear
Hmm.
me. Wealthy people plan for their taxes. They don't just do it. They
Mm,
do tax planning.
wow.
Okay. So when I say that, what I mean is, how do we plan not only to pay our taxes this year, but one, what can we do to reduce our taxes?
Hmm.
Two, what can I do to safeguard my money so that I don't have
Yeah,
to owe taxes ever again?
right.
Mhm.
So this is where things like your Roth IRA comes into play, because those who tax plan not only for a tax situation today, but even throughout retirement.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Mhm.
It
So
does.
we're planning to make sure that our taxes are reduced now, and then reduced or almost eliminated later.
Right.
Again, wealthy people do tax planning. So I
I
was
think
talking to this Go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead, Tina.
So I was talking with this gentleman,
Mhm.
and he was explaining to me how excited he was because tax time was coming. And this gentleman was getting $20,000 in tax return,
Whew, that's a lot.
and almost was doing the moonwalk as he was telling me about this. And I looked at him. I said, "Sir, how much?" And he began to tell me. And it's not because, he had homes and all these different types of credits. He was paying over in taxes about $20,000 a year. But
Wow.
it wasn't until I showed him
Wow.
what, how to start tax planning. I said, if I may show you something. By the time I was done with that gentleman, his head was bowed in shame. Like, I can't believe I have been paying over. And this is why I'm getting the refund. I'm not getting the refund because, I'm that savvy in money. I'm
Right.
getting the refund because I've been paying 20,000 plus over in taxes.
Wow.
And to come to find out, he was only getting a portion back of what he put in.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm like, sir,
Wow.
they really owe you a little bit more than that. But that's an aside. We don't want you to start, we don't want you to continue this $20,000 refund. It doesn't make sense.
You know what, Teen? I think it's just something, taxes is something we just do. We just do. We don't give thought to it. We just do it because we know we're supposed to do it. And we have to change our way of thinking with that. Because, I mean, you're opening my eyes to being better at planning taxes, like you said, because it's just something we just do every, March, April. It's
Hmm.
just what we do.
It's what we do. And then also, thinking about, where we come from, it is part of um, how we get out of financial trouble.
Right.
Mm,
And that's, I believe, how we've been seeing our tax refund for way too long.
mm-hmm.
It is not an opportunity for us to get out of trouble. You don't hear wealthy people saying, "Ooh, I can't wait for my tax return."
Yeah.
You don't hear that.
This time don't get out of free jail card by the government.
Say
Yeah.
that again.
I said this is not a get out of free jail of
Right,
furnished by the
right,
government. This is yourself
right.
not planning properly.
That is correct. So wealthy people already know what their refund is because they
Right.
plan
Right.
for it.
Right.
Mm,
So
That's
they were planning. So what changed my and so I want to make sure that I tell this story and be transparent, because I don't want anybody to think that I've been doing this, and it's
right. Right.
I came out the womb and thinking, oh well, let's start tax planning. No, absolutely
Right.
not. I'll tell you what happened to us, what made me really start understanding my tax situation a little bit more. I become an independent contractor, so I'm thinking, I'm making all this money. And then I had to write a check larger than I had ever imagined in my entire life, writing to one agency, especially to the IRS.
Wow.
There have been years in my past where I hadn't made as much money as this check that I was writing.
Wow.
And I'm like, thank God I had the savings,
mm,
but
mm.
I
Wow.
could not imagine myself writing this kind of check again, like ever. And so I'm thinking, I'm making a lot of money, and I was, but Uncle Sam was taking a whole lot of what I had made. I felt defeated. I was like, well, maybe I didn't make as much, because
Wow.
I just felt like I was so much was being taken.
Right.
So as I'm writing this check, and my husband's like melted on the floor by this point, he's just like, I'm sorry. He just could not believe the kind of check we were about to write. And I said, what do we need to do to not do this again? Because this is not happening. I'm not writing this kind of check again
Right.
for
Right.
taxes. And so, based on that, and this is where I am a staunch supporter of finding a local certified public accountant. They're the absolute best. They know the rules inside out. I'm not talking about your seasonal people. I'm
Right.
talking about this is what they do
Right.
24/7,
Right.
365. Especially if you're a homeowner, if you're a business owner, um, if you have small children, absolutely recommend getting somebody to help you plan for taxes. So, based on our financial situation, she began telling us what we needed to do. And I said, say less.
Right.
So, since then, we have been tax planning.
Okay.
Mm.
And since then, our tax situation had been reduced significantly. And then, as time has gone on and we continued the practice, and it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Right.
And as we continued the practice, taxes, could be eliminated sometimes. So, because of making sure that, you're doing the right things to plan for taxes, not just pay them,
Wow.
just
Wow.
not considering from a planning's perspective. So ever since ever since 2016, I've been a staunch supporter of tax planning,
Right.
because those are the individuals that are going to be able to not only uh, see the benefits now, but then see the benefits, futuristically speaking. And that's what you want. And from a legacies perspective, you don't want, your kids to have to pay, tons and tons and tons in taxes, if you're
Correct.
going to leave them inheritance. You want
Correct.
to be able to safeguard that and protect it. And that's what wealthy people do. They protect, that money so their kids don't have to worry about paying taxes, if
Mhm.
possible. They want to eliminate it as much as possible. And that's what we need to do. We need to start looking at it in that way and start
Right.
to plan.
Well, you said something earlier, and and then you actually shared it. You said, unfortunately, you may have to do it 1 year to learn
Yeah.
what you do next year. And your story you just shared is a prime example of you did it 1 year, and you learned, and you made adjustment for the following year. So
Yes.
you spoke it, but you also did it. So
I
you
didn't
put the
think of it that way. So
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, you put the practice in place.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, this is not happening
Yeah,
ever again. What do we need to do? I just could not see myself doing that again. It was heart-wrenching,
yeah.
writing, a check that I'm like, there's time in 1 year I never even made this much. What are we
Wow,
talking about?
wow,
So, I found out that I was in a different, place financially, and then I had to, really start planning for that.
wow. Tina, you
Wow.
are an amazing person, and you always give us some boulders. Forget
Yes.
nuggets. You give us boulders. Nuggets are tiny little chippers. You give us boulders, big splashes of information, and you always constantly amaze us of what you know. And then you actually sometimes what I'm learning from you, you're learning through trial and fire yourself.
Yes.
I've been there, I experienced it. So let me tell you how I'm better at doing it
Yep.
because I was at one place before, but I'm here now and I'm applying not only what I'm learning, but by law, be able to benefit you moving forward. So just want to say thank you for another yet great podcast. All the podcasts you've done with us has been amazing. You always come prepared and just a full bit of knowledge. It's just amazing what you know, and I'm glad that you are able to come on this podcast and just share with us and other
Yes.
listeners what you can get. Because look, y'all, when you sit down with Tina, you're gonna have to pay.
Yes.
You listen to this podcast.
Again, and I was just going to say, you guys are still the only people that I talk to, and I don't
Yeah,
charge.
yeah. So I'm trying to tell y'all, use it
That's right.
gratefully. So
That's
I'm
right.
Oh,
just saying,
I mean, literally, if anybody else comes to me, I'm like, well, why don't you tell me what you need from me, and then I'll
right,
send you my quote.
right, yeah. So
Literally, that's the next
I
step.
know this. That's why I'm always honoring the fact that you are doing this with us, and we don't take it lightly. We take it seriously. We definitely do not take you for granted. We always trying to support you by sending people to you for business and stuff. So we just want to say again, thank you for everything you've
Yes.
done for the
Thank you.
community
Thank you.
because this is actually a community service.
It is.
Yes.
And people
And
got
I
to
don't take that lightly, and I don't take you guys, having me and hosting me when you do. It's always a pleasure. It's always a joy.
right.
I feel like our time together is, iron sharpening, if you will. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I learn from you guys as well. So, thank you all for
sure.
caring enough about, the populace at large to even share, even, this information, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem at first. But I
Right.
think every listener that you have can apply the things that you shared. Not only that I've shared as a guest on your podcast, but then also things that you all have shared with them, and
Right.
then
Mm,
what other guests have shared. So I applaud you a lot. So thank you guys for what you
Appreciate it.
do.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Now, I'm going to wrap this with saying this. I learned today that plan better with your tax deductions when you fill out your W with a W
for
4,
mhm,
Yes.
or if you go online or with your HR, plan how you're going to do it, make adjustments as needed. Just because you did it once don't mean it's written in stone. You can
correct.
keep changing it until you get adjusted,
Hmm.
because you don't want to get a government your
Right.
money. You could be utilizing your money.
Right.
And if you get a refund,
Call Tina.
please use it wisely. It's not
Right.
shop till you drop
Mm,
time. It's
Right.
time to save. It's time to invest. It's time to pay down debt.
Yes. And I do
Be
not want to see anybody on social media in any stretch of the imagination with you spreading your hundreds I don't
mm,
know.
mm,
mm,
No.
mm.
mm.
Well, you
No.
know what? Another quick thing, Rob. You just said you were talking about planning, but believe it or not, this is almost like budgeting. you can
Yeah.
budget this money into
Mm,
your financial monthly or yearly
Yes.
that's true.
scheme of things.
Right.
So
Yes.
you got to budget, you got to plan those things so you can have those things moving forward. If you're short on money, this is one way to get some money back.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That is so true.
Don't
100%.
borrow from
Stop
me.
overpaying
Help us
now.
give it
Stop
to you.
overpaying these
Yeah,
taxes, y'all.
yeah,
We've had enough now.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So keep going to HR until you get it balanced. Keep going to HR
Yeah.
until you get it right.
Well, Tina, you
Yes.
want to give us your information as far as how they can find you, locate you. Don't give out your home address because people will show up on your front lawn saying, "I need information."
The best thing to do, to be honest, is to look at
I,
my website, guys.
yeah, right.
My website, which is theFinancialT.org. That is TheFinancial, the letter T.org. On there, you'll find all my social media outlets. You'll find my Twitter, my LinkedIn, you'll
Okay.
find my Facebook, and you'll find my Insta. So when you do that, yes, you will not see the financial T. When you click on, say, Insta, you're not going to see the financial T. You will see Tina, the money and sports chick, because again, when I work with athletes, we're talking money and sports. A lot of my analogies are sports analogies, so it was very fitting. But
Love
the
it.
best way, again, to connect with me is through my website, and you'll find all my social media. You'll also find my email address there, which is tina at thefinancialt.org.
All right.
And I'm also available through text, guys. 910-545-6510. You guys can always text me and find out what's going on. And if you ever want to get a consultation, I offer a 15-minute consultation for free. You can always at least see what advice that I have to give, or let you know that, yeah, this is going to require a little bit more than 15
Right.
minutes. Maybe we
Right.
need to see each
Right.
other a little
Excellent.
longer than that.
Excellent.
So I am available as needed for hire. I'm here and I want to help. So thank you.
All right. So look, I know when we first started the podcast, you just say, was it IG?
Hmm.
Now she's saying Insta. Girl, you got me all mixed up. IG. No, you said the gram, and
Oh
now it's
yeah, the
Insta. It was the
gram.
gram. Now it's Insta. I'm like, okay, okay. Is it Insta or is it the gram?
It
Insta.
depends upon who you're around.
Look, look, I'm following suit with you. So if you saying it's Insta,
Listen,
it's Insta. Right.
I had never heard of it being called Insta until I was with the ladies of ESPN
Okay.
last spring in May, and I'm like, Insta, okay,
What's
that's a
Insta?
new one. And
You
from that
got the
moment on, I'm
gram?
like, hey, if the ESPN ladies are saying Insta,
Yeah.
I'm saying Insta.
I'm
It's
saying Insta because Tina's saying Insta. So y'all can find us on Insta
That's
at,
right.
at gift.gen. You can find us on YouTube at Gifted Generations LLC. You can also find us on Facebook at Gifted Gen LLC. And of course, we got the podcast right here. And also our own website, which is Gifted Generations LLC. And as Robin always say, if you forget that dash, don't
Ah,
ask me where you
don't
make
forget the dash.
Yeah.
and Robin has set us up to find us on Spotify and Google Podcasts. So she
Please.
is the IT of all IT. So I applaud her for all the things that she has done, and she has definitely helped this company to grow. So, Robin, you want to wrap it up? And anything?
Okay. Thank you, Tina. As you always a blessing, and I
Oh,
truly
thank you.
appreciate you.
All right. We
And
appreciate
y'all,
you.
hit Tina up because she got some information for
Yes, she
you.
does.
So
Yes, she does.
you want to be better at your finances, contact Tina.
All right.
Thanks,
And until
Tina.
next
Thank
time, be
you so
blessed.
much.
All
All right.
righty.
Y'all,
And
y'all take care.
y'all too, thank you so much for having me again. I appreciate it.
We
Thank
same here. We
you. We
appreciate you.
appreciate you. Have a good
All right.
night.
All right.
You
Bye
too.
bye.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Well, thank you for tuning in to our podcast, FinanceOlogy 101. I hope you enjoyed this session and the information provided will assist you on your financial journey. Until next time, be financially engaged.